Warning.
Oftentimes I have a bad habit of foregoing a purchase that I regret in the following months of its availability. Maybe due to something trivial to the size of the figure when compared to others in the same line, or a sculpting issue, as was the case here. I passed on a figure in its initial release, and I kicked myself when it became pricey on the aftermarket shortly thereafter. But just a few days ago, I found an offer that I couldn't refuse on eBay, and now I can celebrate because I now have the Bandai Movie Monster Series Godzilla 1975 6-inch vinyl. And the timing couldn't be better, as 2025 marks the 50th anniversary of the Terror of Mechagodzilla. With both Titanosaurus and Mechagodzilla 1975 reviews in the can, I can mark this set complete with today's review. Years ago, a Godzilla figure was originally released as part of a 2-figure set for Terror of Mechagodzilla. I already had one of the vinyls, which was Titanosaurus in its original release color scheme, that I was perfectly content with, so double dipping was not high on my list. The other one was a variation of a sculpt on another I already had as well, the 1974 Godzilla mold, but here the head was remolded to resemble his 1975 image. That set came and went, now commanding insane aftermarket dollars. I didn't think I needed it, as the 74 Godzilla could represent both his Megalon and Terror appearances. Then, Bandai re-released this very figure as a standalone, part of its store-exclusive category. My interest was piqued, but I had bigger collecting priorities that once again caused me to miss that window of the market availability. The more I thought about my perfect duo of Titanosaurus and Mechagodzilla 75, I began to regret my decisions. Then, Bandai released the 1973 version, a new mold, and it became apparent that Bandai planned to encompass all of the Showa suits, no matter how minuscule the difference, and that cemented my determination to find and acquire the 1975 one. I was now in the aftermarket stage. If you've been in this situation like I was, you know that sinking feeling when you slept on the opportunity to get a Bandai vinyl. However, a week ago I was perusing eBay, that hive of scum and villainy, and I found my one chance from a seller who not only was in the States, but offered it with the tag not attached. And a few days later, I have them in hand. Being able to complete the set of figures has been an obsession that's been growing within the overall pursuit of the Showa Kaiju vinyls. Terror of Mechagodzilla is possibly my favorite film in the 70s bracket of years, next to Godzilla vs. Ghidorah. So this review will be a little less structured like the previous ones, because A, the sculpt is primarily the same as the 74 version, which will garner its own review eventually, and B, the comparisons to the 1974 figure, and C, focus will be more on finishing the trio of monsters and how they look all together. Let's begin. Yep, you read that right. The biggest focus on this segment will zero in on the head, but I do want to call to attention another big difference between this and my 1974 version, the colors. My 74 Godzilla is molded in a dark charcoal vinyl over various areas that are common with most Godzilla vinyls. He has a whitish gray spray on his head, sternum, and knees. His toe and finger claws have been given a drab olive brownish spray, and his dorsals a silver airbrushing all the way down to his entire tail. The face has white eyeballs, a black pupil, and white shine dots in the center of said pupil. His teeth are also white, and there's a slight spot of red for the tongue. The 1975 takes the mold and manages to make it feel ever so slightly different by being cast in a darker charcoal black overall. Instead of the white highlights, the figure gets a nice muted green on the head, sternum, and what alters the perception of the two side by side, the kneecap placement is positioned more outward rather than spot on face forward. Interestingly enough, neither his toes or fingers get any paint. The silver dorsal spines appear to have more controlled application rather than a wild spray like 74's. The silver is applied neatly on the lower tail and ends right before the last two ridges. The head gets white eyeballs and black pupils, but zero shine dots. Teeth and tongue get the same treatment as 74. Since the body is shared between the two, I'll leave the sculpting details for the actual 74 review. The head is the selling point here. And overall, it's worth the purchase alone. As a kid, I couldn't distinguish the differences between Godzilla's appearances between 73 through 75. The movies were hard to dissect since they came on TV randomly, and I didn't have a VCR to record and freeze frame shots. Yes, I'm that old. My generation didn't have the reference material we have in this day and age that freeze frames each so you can note the variances. So to me, all three suits were one and the same. Bandai hath spoken, however, and each was deserving of their own figure, and while 73 and 74 are still too similar, 75 has noticeable scowling expression, or his plastic surgery hasn't set in yet. And it is pretty evident the differences between the two. 74's mug is quite kid-friendlier in tone, almost puppy dog-like. He looks fairly chummy and would share his sandwich with you. 75's face has soured, as if you ate both halves of the sandwich and were fixing for an ass-whooping. His furrowed brow is the big focus point, hanging over his angrier beady eyes. The overall shape of the head is also a minimized version of the previous years, with details more subdued on the top of his noggin. The mouth's overall shape feels more primal and grouchier, lending itself to the no-nonsense turn in the character. I mean, if Mechagodzilla made you bleed your own blood, wouldn't you be back with a vengeance too? It's fascinating how such a minor tweak on a figure has a head sculpt that can warrant such a dramatic shift, emboldened by the darker colors complementing the overall piece. Chef's kiss. If you have Godzilla 1974, then you know the drill. Full swivel head movement at the base of the head that can do a full 360. Both arms are capable of doing the same at the shoulders. And the legs at the thighs can perform this feat as well. Tail has a seam, but is glue sealed, so it ain't moving anywhere. Can we all agree that completing a set from a specific movie just feels right? The nagging notion that I'd have to use the 1974 mold as a stand-in for 3 successive movies after realizing that there were subtle differences is a completist's nightmare. But now, I have the complete Terror of Mechagodzilla monster cast, save maybe for the inevitable second-headed Mechagodzilla vinyl, and I love it. Like the Godzilla Raids Again set of Godzilla and Anguirus 55, I just smile, conjuring scenes from these films just by glancing at the ensemble on the shelf. Both are made more special by the extra attention to suit details like zipper flaps, suit depressions, and material cracks, making these so much more miniaturized versions of their screen depictions. Each brings their own flavor to this collection, with Mechagodzilla 75's sharp, cold, and metallic theme juxtaposed with Titanosaurus's warm, bumpy, and organic aesthetic. Godzilla sits perfectly between them, a charcoal divide to break up the wild contrasts. While there are other complete sets, such as the Godzilla vs. Megalon collection of movie monster series, Godzilla 73, Megalon, Jet Jaguar, and Gigan, they don't have that same design synergy you get here. The same can be said if you have the Dream 5 Ghidorah and Anguirus to pair with 68 Godzilla and Gigan. Godzilla vs. Hedorah can work as a set as well, but I can't shake the feeling that a tadpole Hedorah may be in the cards, rendering it feeling incomplete. Godzilla's Revenge is almost a set if you count the new footage over the stock footage, leaving only Godzilla 68, Jumbo Minya, and Dream 5 Gabara as the cast. Bandai has a lot of work to do, it would seem. Four punches is what Jet Jaguar determines, and I am in agreement. This is a figure that I've always wanted, but just couldn't justify buying initially. But now that I have it, I'm so glad, especially considering when you put him next to the 1974 Godzilla, the new head sculpt even makes him look a little bit taller, which is interesting. I think this figure is fantastic, and it really embodies the angry, vengeful Godzilla that we get in Terror of Mechagodzilla. He looks great with the other figures. He looks great by himself. I love the color scheme, the darker colors, the green highlights. He looks beautiful. Now, you may be on the fence about buying him just because he closely resembles the 1974 version. And again, like I said, that could work for both Megalon versus Mechagodzilla and Terror of Mechagodzilla. But if you want to get this, it's still available, but it's kind of expensive. You can look around on the aftermarket and you'll probably look at in the high range of $100 or so. But again, you might get lucky like I did, and you can add this to your collection. Bandai seems to be filling the ranks of all the different Godzilla suits, and it would be nice to have that. If you enjoyed this video, please leave your comments down below. Make sure you hit a like, share, and subscribe. Thank you again for watching my show. This is 4Green, and this has been Showa Showcase. I'll see you next time.